like to welcome everyone to another episode of Weekly Football Chat. This week we'll be going over Week 15, our picks for Week 16, and also looking at the playoff schedule as of last week. So this week I went 68% on my wins, uh, a little bit up from last week, but not from the first week. So we'll dive right into it. So the first game was San Francisco versus Seattle, and that was the 49ers winning that one 21-13. The second game was the Indianapolis Colts versus Minnesota Vikings. And that game, the Vikings won 39-36. So pretty close game. The third game was the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns. That one, the Browns won that game 13-3. The fourth game was the Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. That game ended up 32-29, I believe, with Buffalo winning that one by very little, but cementing himself as number one, still in the AFC. The fifth game was the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Chicago Bears. That one had the Eagles winning 25-20, uh, with Philadelphia still being in the top spot of the NFC. The sixth game, this one was a one that I was happy I picked correctly, was Detroit versus New York Jets. Detroit winning 20-17. As we can see, a lot of these games are pretty close games. The seventh game was the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Carolina Panthers. I picked Carolina. Pittsburgh ended up taking this game 24-16, so had a loss on that one. This eighth game was the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Houston Texans. That game, for a bit, it looked like Houston could have done an upset, but Kansas City did pull this one out 30-24. So I believe that puts them in the two spot. The ninth game was Atlanta versus New Orleans. And this one I lost. New Orleans beat Atlanta 21-18. So yet another close game. The 10th game, this one kind of hurt a little bit for, I believe, all of Texas. The Dallas Cowboys versus Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Dallas could not go into this game the same way they went with Houston, and they were actually ahead at the end of the first half, and they completely lost that game. Jacksonville ended up winning that game 40-34 in overtime. So, as that's not a very good for them, especially if they're going to try to keep into the playoffs. The 11th game was Arizona versus Denver. And that one, and Denver ended up winning 24-15. Uh, the 12th game was the New England Patriots versus the Las Vegas Raiders, and that one saw the Raiders pulling off a win 30-24. The 13th game was the Tennessee Titans versus the LA Chargers. And this one had the Chargers winning 17-14, bringing them into also they're also into the playoffs as well. The 14th game was the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one I picked correctly. This was had Cincinnati beating Tampa Bay 34-23. And like I said, I'm gonna go over the playoffs after this. The 15th game was New York Giants versus Washington Commanders, for also a spot into the playoffs, and that had the Giants winning 30-12. And then our Monday Night Football game, I had picked this one wrong, I guess, because I thought that the Rams could pull it off, but it was the LA Rams versus the Green Bay Packers. And like I said, I came out wrong on that one. Green Bay ended up taking this game 24-12. So, like I said, that was a 68% correct that I did. But it also made the playoff picture look a little bit more real because you have the 16th week, the 17th, and then the 18th. And then after that, then it goes into a wild card. So now we're going to discuss the games that are being played tonight, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then afterwards, I'll bring up the AFC and NFC. So week 16, my picks are of tonight's game, the Jacksonville versus the New York Jets. I'm gonna go with Jacksonville on this one. The next game is the Atlanta Falcons versus the Baltimore Ravens. I'll go with Baltimore on that one. The next one after that is the Detroit Lions versus Carolina Panthers. I'm gonna go with Detroit on this one. The next one is the Seattle Seahawks versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm gonna go with the Seahawks in this one. If I lose this one, oh well. But I want to see if Seattle can do this one. The next game is the New Orleans Saints versus the Cleveland Browns. I'll go with New Orleans on this one. Then it's the Houston Texans versus the Tennessee Titans. I'll go with Tennessee on this one. The next game is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the New England Patriots. I'll go with the Bengals on this one. Uh, the next game after that is the New York Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'll go with the Vikings. Right after that one is the Buffalo Bills and the Chicago Bears. I'll go with the Bills on that one. And then we have the Washington Commanders versus the San Francisco 49ers. I'll go the 49ers on that one. In a big division game of the NFC East, we have the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one. We'll see how it goes. I know it's going to be a little bit different with Jalen Hurts out, but uh, many may fail to remember that the Philadelphia does have a pretty good team this year. But I'm going to go with the Cowboys on that one. The next one is the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll go with the Raiders. Um, the next game is the Green Bay Packers versus the Miami Dolphins. I'll go with the Dolphins on that one. Then we have the Denver Broncos versus the LA Rams. I'll go with the Broncos on that one. And then we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Arizona Cardinals. I'll go with Tampa Bay. Although they're not having too good of a season, but with the last few weeks left and a chance to keep inside the playoffs, I think I think they'll pull it off. So I'm gonna go with the Bucks on that one. And then the last game on Monday is the LA Chargers versus the Indianapolis Colts. I'll go with the Chargers. So those are the picks that I have for Week 16. Um, Again, I'll tell y'all next week how the percentage goes on that one. It's kind of all over the place, but we'll see how it goes. So now we're gonna look at the playoff picture, the playoff picture for this year, for what it looks like after this week. So in the AFC, the 1 through 7 spots are number one, the Bills, two, the Chiefs, three, the Bengals, four, the Titans, five, the Ravens, six, the Chargers, and seven is Miami. So if the playoffs were to start today, those would be the ones in the playoffs as of this point. But it's still in the hunt in the 8, 9, and 10 spots are the New England Patriots, the Jets, and the Jaguars. So we'll see how this goes after this week. It could change. We don't know. But it looks like a pretty good AFC so far. And now on the NFC, the number one spot is the Eagles. The number two spot is the Vikings. The number three spot is the 49ers. The fourth spot is the Bucks. In the wild card 5, 6, and 7, we have the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Commanders. So again, after in the second straight week in the playoff picture, we have all four teams of the NFC East dominating the playoff picture. But still in the hunt in the 8, 9, and 10 spot are the Seahawks, the Lions, and the Packers. So anything can happen at this point. Any team could lose their spot, and one of those three teams could pop up. So those are the picks that I have for this week, and also what the playoff picture looks like next week. So, like I said in the first episode, as this time goes on, we're going to start to see a little bit more. So hopefully, we have a good playoffs and a great Super Bowl. So until next time, y'all have a good weekend, and I'll see you next week.